What a crazy game. I cannot believe how this game went. Open up, like I sit down, all of a sudden it's like touchdown. And then the next thing I know, there's a sack and Jimmy G's gone. I'm like, whoa, man, this is going to be a cakewalk. And part of me was like, uh-oh, you're going to have to eat some crow on this one. And I know that my prediction kind of evolved to be what it was, what I kind of predicted. But to be honest and fair, and that's really what I'm about here, I have to say I got some things wrong. Some things, and it's a nuanced take on this game. But in the part that I got wrong has me so excited because the part I had wrong, I've watched a lot of football for a long time, and I don't think I've ever saw something that I saw today, and it just makes me alter some parts of my evaluation of the game of football and the possibilities of this team going forward. Now, in other parts, I'll get into that. You know, the offensive line without my man Teron, all that other stuff. But this was one heck of a game. It showed so much by the players. I know some people want to say, you know, Tua, he had his picks and he maybe didn't have the greatest game. It's on him. And to some extent, you have to say he didn't have a good game. But I wonder why. There's a part of me that really is considering some things along with some other stuff about the context of how this game shaped out. But overall, we're 8-4. Chargers lost, I believe it. They're down. It's like 2 minutes left. So I'm thinking they're losing. The Jets lost. And this really puts us in great position. It is such an interesting game. It really, last week I said, you're really not going to be able to get anything out of all 22. But this week, all 22 is going to tell you so many things. It's going to be very, very interesting watch. So thanks for stopping by. I appreciate everything for all you people who out there had different ideas than what I had because there was a lot of good stuff from what you guys had to say. And I'm going to dig into that as well. So thanks for stopping by. You guys make this channel go, but I also want to give a shout out to Ace Per Head, my sponsor, because without you and without them, this show ain't going down. Ace Per Head's betting software is the premier white label platform for bookies to manage their players and grow their sportsbook operation. Click the link in the description below to get set up in minutes. Ask for the Curtis promo and get a special introductory discount. All right, I'm going to save the Tua talk to the end. And because that's going to tie into some other stuff. I want to give shout outs to some of these defensive players that really had a phenomenal game. Yes, Hill, guy's just ridiculous. I mean, he's one of the most amazing football players, freak football players that I have ever seen. The guy is unbelievable. And what he's able to do week in and week out, it's really mind-blowing. But some of these defenders, Sealer and Jenkins come in and play in a substantial role. And Wilkins, unbelievable. Wilkins, I don't know, had 13, 14 tackles or something like that. I don't know. Downfield all over the place, blowing things up. And yeah, the San Fran had a good day running. But it really wasn't about this front. You know, the edges a little bit. Linebackers had some issues. But these guys inside had such an amazing game. And I'm going to have to do some tape on them because I'm just so impressed. We got to keep Sealer. I don't care what we do. Keep Wilkins and keep Sealer because they are such phenomenal players. And Jenkins, long in the tooth guy who I love every time we bring back, played such a big role today. Now, Holland, oh, man, that third down stop on McCaffrey to pass, the out, where he comes across, shoots across the field like a laser beam and stops McCaffrey 2 yards. I was like, oh, first down here. And out of nowhere, Holland made one amazing play. It was such a great tackle, such a great play. To shoot that fast across that long of a distance and to hit the bullseye the way he did on McCaffrey, who's a good player, is so impressive. Now, Kohu, he had a pretty good game in many regards, but this was one of his weaker games. So, again, I got to see a little bit of the man coverage issues that he has. He had that one missed tackle. But But again, I think where he's going to find his steam is in zone coverage. And this is going to tie into my major point. I put it above Tua. Tua clearly didn't have his best game. And I'll get into all that stuff. But the loss of this game, and it's got to be in a context. And I really got to stop before I get into this. I should have done it at the beginning. I want to give a shout out to San Francisco 49ers. To lose Jimmy G like that, and to get Purdy to come in, and to do what Purdy did, and a team to play the way they played, was really, really impressive. I should have put it at the beginning, but I was really kind of excited. I'm kind of worn out from all the food I've been eating. So I really want to give you guys a shout out. Unbelievable performance. But to tie that back into, to me, Boyer made a major tactical error early on. We got a lot of big plays off in that first half, and it really hurt us. I thought it was just not a wise way to attack the rookie. I get you want to bring the pressure, but this is a really good offensive line with some playmakers, with Shanahan, who really understands, okay, they're going to bring a lot of pressure, and we could do this and that to get the ball off hot. And when he switched over to the second half into the zone, you got to see a lot better results. And if they had started at the beginning of the game, I think we would have taken this game, even with Tua, who had some foibles, some issues, but also some big plays. We could have pulled it out. Now, I do think that you have to add the caveat of Purdy to do what he did is so surprising. And you could see there is some weaknesses in the secondary. And it does concern me that a good quarterback with good receivers is going to make hay. And if you want to pull it all together and you would say, oh, Tua had a better game and Jimmy G would have stayed in, I don't know if we would have won this one. I think it would have been close. But as well as Purdy played, there was a lot of things this offense had to be inhibited by without Jimmy G. And this was an admirable performance. One, given the loss of Jimmy G, if Boyer could have called better that first half, I think we would have won. And that says a ton to me. It says so much. Now, I want to get into the part where I was right and wrong in my prediction. I don't believe that just because I said that San Fran was probably going to win because Tehran was out and we won, that means I'm right. That's not true. That's not nuanced take. I was wrong in some parts. And the parts that I am wrong, as I said before, leaves me super, super duper excited. I've never seen this poor of an offensive line and a defense playing the defense they did, which was deep, high cover safeties, over safeties, in a cover two-ish look a lot of times. We're rushing four guys that you could play as much 12 personnel and have 7, 8 guys blocking as much as Miami did and still do what Miami did. Waddle, Hill, and Tua, when he was on target, along with McDaniel, able to find stuff, along with Sherfield. This offense can overcome so much. And I did not think that was going to happen with what we were going to see. Now, to the other side, I thought they were going to play a different style defense. I should have known is the kind of defense they were going to play. And so the pressure wasn't the key element to the game. And I know that I had expected a lot more pressure. But the 4-man rush that we saw continually coming in, it did hit on critical downs. We saw the Bosa sack that knocked us out of the field goal range. Bosa had his 3 sacks, most notably the big one at the end. Tua got hit a bunch of times. So I really didn't think, I thought there was going to be more pressure. But they weren't really playing that style of defense. They played a total protection defense. And we kept a lot of people in 12 personnel, and we were able to get more yards off. If Tua was able to complete a few more of those passes, this would have looked different. I think we could have won it anyway. Again, I don't know about the element of Jimmy G being in there, how it would have played out, because because Purdy came in, this defense continued to play a certain way. There was really only like one blitz, and I think we got a sack on that one when Warner did a blitz, and then Bosa shot the center between Hunt and Connor. We probably would have saw more of that if Jimmy G was in there because they thought they could probably score more. But this offensive line held up in the pass protection because they kept so many people in, but also were able to make hay because of the unbelievable talent of Hill, Waddle, and Tua. And this is something I have not seen last year at all, and really any place else. I've never seen two receivers be able to do what they are doing. Now, it's not all perfect. The thing that I was right about is they had to play 12 personnel. Now, we were inconsistent. And that inconsistency and inability to run the football really hurt us and Tua. I got to go back in the all 22, to see if they were running nickel all day. Because we weren't able to run the football. If they were nickel all day, that's going to bother me. If they were playing a lot of 4-3, keeping that third linebacker in, it's not going to bother me so much. But the fact that we weren't able to run 33 yards on 8 rushes, that's not what we need. It hurts. And I think part of that plays into Tua's problems on the day, along with some other stuff. Now, Tua was clearly off. But why? We've never seen him off like that this year. I mean, here and there, because he's a human, but on the regular, this was an oddity. Now, some of it was because of the defense he was playing. Remember the one where he threw it over to center and Warner dropped back and tipped it? They were playing deep safeties, really not trying to focus on stopping the run. They were playing that cover 2 over and dropping their safeties at a pretty good depth, which forced his window to be a little bit harder. It forced him to throw a little bit higher, and that's why the ball was continually going high. Not every time, but I say most of the times, because they were just saying, we're going to stop this front with the 4 guys. We're going to shut down that middle, the deep middle, and when I play over, it kind of made the windows a little tougher for Tua to fit in there. If you go back, you see all the times there was a lot more space. And if you noticed, Purdy was able to hit a couple of those where all linebackers were worried about the run, and there was a lot more space in the middle. So I think that was part of Tua's struggles. Another thing that we're not talking about is Tua had that hit last week, and his ankle got rolled up. He was on the injury report. He had 3 full practices, but it seemed like he just didn't feel right. And he got a hit early on. He got rolled up a couple times pretty bad. So I'm not blaming it all on that, because he had the first down play to Hill, and it was not on the same page, where he threw short, where Hill either didn't come back when he was supposed to or whatever. That was one. Then it was a Waddle short where it skipped up to him on a 3rd and 7. Then it was Waddle high for the first. And that was one where I think there was a little bit of depth in there. That was a harder throw than it really looks, or they were kind of making it out on the broadcast. Then it was the Ingalls swing pass where he threw out in front of him, and it was in front of his fingertips. That's on him. Then it was the Hill sideline. He threw behind, and Hill had to come back and grab and pull that ball in. And then it was a swing pass where he was wide open. If he hit that, that was probably going to be a touchdown, and he threw it kind of off to his left shoulder. And then there was a high one to Hill on a 2nd and 8, and that was because of the linebacker depth forcing him to throw over. And then there was another one that was behind Hill for the end where he rolled out. And so he was off, but there was also the design of this defense to really make it harder on him. And we couldn't run the football worth of nothing. Nothing. And that's really where, in this game, Tehran kind of hurt us the most. The inability to have any kind of run game. Conversely, they had 124 on the ground and 31 rushes. And that was able to help Purdy out to create that dubiousness of what they were going to do, and allowed him some opportunities. And as good as Tua can be, and Hill and Waddle, one-dimensional offense against a quality defense makes it tough. And yeah, he could have had a better day. There's no 2 ways about that. But in the same token, as I said, if we balance out Garoppolo, Jimmy G being in there, would there have been a lot more touchdowns than threes? And would that have really shaped up the same way? I don't know. I think the defense really had the advantage against our offensive line when we couldn't run the football. Now, Tua, 54% is not him. We know that. So something was really up. 295, 2 touchdowns, but those 2 ints, 18 for 33. And I got to go back at the old 22 to see how it played out. Clearly, no, I read off a bunch of plays where he didn't deliver, and some of them were his fault and some of them weren't. But you cannot go into a game like this with this kind of defense and come out with 33 yards on the ground. And so, you know, at some point, I think the announcer, Moose Johnson, was saying McDaniel had an odd thing to take care of Bosa with some running backs and tight end chips. But that was also a schematic problem because you had such weak tackles and issues there. You really were running out of ammo in order to handle this. And so Bosa came up big, but it didn't come up as big as I thought it would be. And that's because the special nature of Tua, of Hill, and Waddle. Clearly, Tua is going to have to do better. When Teron comes back, whether it's next week or the week after or whatever, we're going to see a more proficient run game. You could see even with Allen and the Bills what that run game does for an offense. And so, yeah, we have to put a little bit on Tua. We have to put a lot of it, in my opinion, on Boyer. And we have to also say this offensive line can't run block, especially without Teron. But I believe when Teron comes back and Shell stays at that right tackle spot, I think we're going to be fine. I think we're going to beat the Chargers. I don't think we're going to be able to beat the Bills. That's going to be very tough because it's going to be super crazy windy probably. But I think we're going to come back. We'll beat the Green Bay Packers, like no problem. And what I saw from the Patriots, I know it's going to be tough over there, but that offense is terrible. And I like our chances to win at least one of those 2 games at home against the Jets the following week or against the Patriots, and maybe even 2. To me, playoffs, we win next week, it's playoffs. And everybody wants to win a division. Everybody wants to, have a bye week and all. Guys, this is where we're at. It's the early stage. You've got to be positive. You've got to be positive. This was unbelievable to have the offensive line we had to sit in 12 personnel and almost max protect a lot and still get off the yards we got. It's unbelievable. And in my opinion, I've never seen it before. I have never seen this before. So I would be very, very positive. We got to see what happened. Waddle got the leg injury. There's a lot of little things, little nuances we can talk about. I'll get into that with the film. But guys, if I told you 8-4 last year and with a legitimate shot to vie for AFC East and certainly make the playoffs pretty much, you would take that 10 times out of 10. Next year, this year is our floor eval. And if we get to those playoffs, just like the Bengals did last year, we might find ourselves in the Super Bowl. Next year is our year to tool up, add more pieces, to grow together as a team. We just need second in this division, at least a playoff appearance and a playoff victory. And really, we are aiming at the stars. So I hope you enjoyed the game. I'm glad I got some things wrong. I appreciate a lot of the comments. Some people say, well, maybe you would think. I do consider everything you guys said, and I remember it. And I write a lot of it down, too. So I appreciate it. And next week is going to be a big week. I think we really got this one. I think Teron's going to be back, and I don't think Bosa is going to be back. And I think we really can put our stamp on that game and be on our way. Curtis saying, hope you had a good Sunday, even if it was a loss. Catch you next time. Be well. Go Fins. Start building your own online sports book today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.